too far. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And, thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening. And I'm assuming it's a journey that you are on to get more and proper information on traumatic brain injury. I want to start off by sharing a little story with you that I've used many times, and I think there are some analogies I can make from the story. It takes place at sea. It was a foggy night. There was a battleship sailing along at a nice pace. And this was before radar was perfected. And the battleship captain noticed a bright light in the distance. And he ordered his crew member to go out with those flashing lights. They used to send signals with those flashing lights, and he sent a signal to this light: alter your course 3 degrees starboard. Well, he got a return signal, and it said, alter your course 3 degrees starboard. The captain was very upset, and he said to his crew member again, tell him this: alter your course 3 degrees starboard. I am Captain Brown, and this is a battleship. The return came. This is Ensign Smith. Alter your course 3 degrees starboard. This is a lighthouse. In my childhood, I was very active. Had a very athletic family. Probably between the ages of 10 and 15, I played every sport possible, every school sport possible. But most of it happened on the street in front of my house. Touch football, ball hockey, basketball. Yeah, they had to lower the net a little bit. But very active indeed. And I do recall this one particular day we were playing touch football with my friends. We did after school every day. And I broke away from the guy that was covering me, and I was open, and I caught the pass, and I turned full speed into a telephone pole. Unconscious. My friends didn't know what to do, but I woke up, and I didn't even tell my parents what happened. In my minor hockey career, folks, I played when there were no helmets. Even in minor hockey. Can you imagine that? Minor hockey kids with no helmets. No one wore it. And I remember playing minor hockey, sliding into the goalpost, getting tripped and sliding into the goalpost, unconscious. Get me back to the bench. Are you okay? Yeah. All right, let's keep playing. Junior hockey with the Marlies. No helmets. And I do recall numerous times when had the so-called belt. What does that mean? It basically means the person is concussed. It could be minor concussion, it could be major, but you are concussed. You got your belt wrong, you are concussed. I want to show you a little film clip right now. I turned pro with the Toronto Maple Leafs when I was 18 years old. My first season in the league, we had a game at Maple Leaf Gardens against the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'd like to run the clip now, and I'm not too sure how I'm going to do it. Just to introduce it quickly. You recognize some of the names. Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, Davey Keelan, Timmy Norton.
Assist.
Watch this.
Number 5, Rutledge. And number 9, Bobby Hull. The time, 1:28. Official correction on the penalties. Chicago penalty to number 3, Pilot, 2 minutes for hooking. Toronto penalty to number 2, Brewer, 2 minutes for tripping.
Now
the center ice with Chico Mackey. Covered by Stanley, and it goes back into the lead zone, and Tim Horton has it. To Ron Ellis. Ellis, up the center, still has it. Takes it over the line. Miami Neal. He's lying on the ice.
They cut to a commercial. According to reports, I was unconscious for 15 minutes. They finally brought the stretcher out. I did regain consciousness before I left Ellis. What started off as a wonderful play, I deep Bobby Hull. Ended up very unpleasant. But here's the worst part. I returned to play in that game.
Back up for Nestorento. Ellis knocking it back. Mansfield gets over the line. Takes the shot. Bauer knocking it out to the wing. Bob Vaughn. Taking a four-man rush. Shoots it in. Mansfield steps into Vaughn. Keon went after it and hold it against the board.
The concussion was bad enough. Returning to that game was an example of the information that was available at the time. There was no technology to study the brain in 1964. You went back. And I remember when I went into the dressing room, the team doctors didn't even come into the dressing room. The trainer, who was not trained for this, put a few more smelling salts underneath my nose. I finally got enough energy to swing my legs over the bench and sit up. And he said, "You want to go back?" You know what I said? Yes. Why did I say yes, people? 3 reasons. Pride. Secondly, I didn't want to let my teammates down. Thirdly, I didn't want to let the opponents know they hurt me. We have to take the decision away from the athletes. That's why they have a quiet room today. If there was a quiet room back then, I would not have been back on the ice. I may not have played the rest of the year. Parents, you have to tell your child they are not going back. I don't care if you think they're going to make the NHL. Do you realize there's 0.0015% of kids playing hockey in Ontario right now? There's 500,000. 0.01001% will make the NHL. You want to risk your child's life. Hope I'm not showing my passion. When I decided to become a professional athlete, I had to accept certain things, and one of those things was injury. I had a separated shoulder. I've had a shoulder replacement. They heal. They heal. This doesn't heal necessarily. I didn't accept that. I didn't accept an injury that might affect me the rest of my life and my family and my career after hockey. 2 games after that game on Christmas Eve, we were in Boston. Small rink, very small rink back then, the old Boston Garden. Anybody been in the old Boston Garden? Very small rink, tough rink to play in. They had a guy on their defense by the name of Leo Boylan. He could hit. Clean hitter, but he could hit. And And I remember the play. We came up the ice, my line mates and I had the puck, I made the pass around their blue line, and I saw Boyden coming out, and I knew we were going to have contact. I prepared myself for the contact. It didn't matter. My brain must have moved again, folks, and I went down. Missed 8 weeks of hockey. And again, with proper diagnosis, I probably shouldn't have played the rest of the season. There's still a little debate on this, but researchers are starting to believe, and I believe the doctor mentioned it, that cumulative brain injury, concussions in this case, can lead to mental health issues years later, even up to 25 to 30 years later. And it was almost 30 years to the date when that happened that concussion took over, or depression took over my life. And I was hospitalized 3 times and had to take short-term disability from my workplace for 1 year. My doctors at Homewood Health Center believe strongly my concussions were a factor, not necessarily the factor, but a factor in my concussions. We're taking action. Tonight is an action movement, an action moment. And another analogy, like that telephone pole. It was like the lighthouse, it didn't move. Another analogy from a little story I shared with you. Traumatic brain injury is not going to go away anytime soon. Life is life, whether it's sport or life in general. Yeah, we can make some course adjustments, like a lot of groups have, and I'm not going to name them tonight. We'll make a course adjustment and sail by, ignoring the issue, ignoring the serious youth mental health issue. Or we can drop anchor beside the island where the lighthouse is. And we can get on the island and survey it, find out where the dangers are, and set up preventative measures. Or worst of all, if one of our young people gets shipwrecked because of traumatic brain injury, we have to put some measures in place to get them to dry land. Or in reality, rehabilitate them to good health. I took this statement from Sick Kids, one of their statements. At Sick Kids, researchers are currently tackling traumatic brain injury from many directions, investigating mechanisms and solutions for effective imaging, prevention, and protection, as well as better methods of rehabilitation. Sick Kids are doing their part. You may represent some other organizations. Maybe you think you're doing it better. We've got to become a team. We've got to create chemistry to address this issue. We cannot be divisive, or we will keep spinning our wheels, and young people will suffer. Let's do it together. Thank you.